Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, talking up the Tide here at 4 o'clock Eastern time on a Sunday with Alabama going to camp and just a few weeks ago. And, of course, their first scrimmage. So they're finally popping some pads there in Tuscaloosa. We would like to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe here on YouTube. We've got the Facebook audience as well. And, again, if you want the traditional feed where you can comment and join the live chat, just go to YouTube. Search Mark Rogers TV, or just make it easy on yourself. Go to markrogerstv.com. All right, Stephen. We got Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama. How you doing this afternoon?
Doing well, man. Fresh off Alabama's first scrimmage. It's crazy. Fresh off the first scrimmage, got a lot of news, notes, information. Ready to get down to it, man.
All right, let's get down to it. So I trust you more than anyone to get out there to practice like you typically do. And survey the field. You know the personnel. You've got it down. So what is standing out to you after checking out the Tide going at it for the first time?
The first thing that stood out to me, Mark, was the secondary. I know 6 guys lost to the NFL draft. We know those guys: Minkah Fitzpatrick, Ronnie Harrison, Tony Brown, Anthony Everett, Levi Wallace. Those guys going on to the next level. And a lot of the concern was, would there be a huge drop-off with the guys coming back? Thus far in fall camp and during the first scrimmage, not much of a drop-off at all. Deontay Thompson, who's back for his redshirt junior year, earned his degree during the early part of this month, is playing with such leadership despite only getting a couple of moments to start last year. I know a lot of people felt like the light bulb finally came on for Thompson during the college football playoff, but this young man has been ready for a long time now, coming out of Orange, Texas in that 2015 signing class, plays with a lot of range to him. And right next to him, Xavier McKinney at the other safety spot. These two have a great bond. At the corner spots, Savion Smith played well at the first scrimmage. Trayvon Diggs held his own, along with Patrick Surtain, despite the fact that Diggs is trying to hold off a surging Patrick Surtain Jr. At that star position, Shaheem Carter is highly intelligent. This man is calling out the scheme from his nickel spots. At slot corner, Shaheem Carter is calling out the defense. And here's a guy entering his junior year out of Kentwood, Louisiana. Nick Saban calling him very intelligent, very smart, very versatile, has taken on that leadership role with great responsibility. The secondary room as a whole has tremendously improved. This is an area that, although fans had much concern about, have no fear. I mean, the first couple of games, the secondary will get torched a bit because of the youth, but I think by week 5 of the season, this team is going to be in good season form. I mean, these guys are out here popping pads. They're recognizing what's going on. There is some leadership in that back 5. I know Tua Tagovailoa made some plays in that scrimmage, but that secondary really held its own, and he had to fit some balls in there because they were playing the receivers very tightly.
All right, so that's focus number 1 on the live chat here, Stephen. As you can imagine, the quarterback situation, and even if they would have handed the ball off 50 times and never thrown a pass, that would have been the focus of the live chat and everybody else. Who looked better in the pivot, the handoff pivot, handing off to the running back? You know, it'd be that sort of take. So as you can imagine, with the 3 touchdown passes out of Tua, Jalen Hurts, apparently somebody's commenting here through 3 interceptions. So you can verify that for us and take it away.
I talked to a lot of folks that were there. It was a Tua Tagovailoa show. He had 4 touchdowns, including a couple to Jerry Jeudy. There was a back shoulder fade to Tyrell Shavers, and there's a name at wide receiver fans look out for. I know Ruggs, Jeudy, Devonta Smith are your 3 main guys, but Tyrell Shavers at 6'6", 216 pounds out of Louisville, Texas, showed me a lot on Saturday with this ability to catch the ball on 3rd down, kind of that whole big body, move the chain type of receiver that could also be a big red zone threat. But as far as the quarterbacks go, Tua, big performance, 4 touchdowns, moved the ball well, offense looked in flow. Jalen Hurts, still, you wonder what's the hang up with him in the passing game. had 3 interceptions, still looked like he's not all the way comfortable throwing the football. And in a day and age where you have a lot more of these teams wanting to have that quarterback that can do more than just manage, Mark, they can dominate a football game. I get it. Jalen Hurts, 1 overall rough game in his career, the national championship against Georgia. But it's in a day and age where you have so many college teams thirsting, craving. Can I have that quarterback that can do it all? Can I have that quarterback that can just do more than manage the game to kind of take Kobe Bryant's nickname for a second here? Can I have that quarterback with that black mamba effect that can take over a football game at any given moment, throwing the football where we know it's coming and the opposition can do nothing to stop that? And for Jalen Hurts, it's still an issue with him versus Tua Tagovailoa. From the people I've talked to, it's a real deal. I mean, this guy's out here slinging the ball across the field. The defensive backs were in great position on a lot of the throws that Tua put out there, but that Brett Favre gunslinging, confident mentality, he was just sticking balls in there.
Mark Rogers TV, voice of college football. You know the deal. Like, comment, and subscribe. That helps drive the search engine here on YouTube and online. Beyond that, the Facebook audience, of course, you're just kind of getting the sneak peek and just looking at me. So again, we will work out the Facebook Live portion of this at a later date. But right now, if you want to catch the traditional feed and join the chat, you go to YouTube and go to Mark Rogers TV, or just go to markrogerstv.com. Want to remind everyone that if you look down in the description section, you will see the affiliate marketing, the Amazon links, and all you need to do is when you do your Amazon shopping, when you go online to shop on Amazon, just use one of the links. You don't need to buy the products. Just jump online and use those links, and that will help us out immensely in the mailing list as well. The mailing list begins on week 1 of the college football season. That following Monday, after the first games are in the books, our mailing will go out to everyone. So leave your email address at markrogerstv@gmail, markrogerstv@gmail, and we will get you hooked up with the exclusive letter that goes out to all the folks on the mailing list. All right, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama, breaking down the Tide. And yes, just glittering thoughts and comments coming over the chat, as you just mentioned, regarding Stephen, of course, Tua Tagovailoa versus Jalen Hurts and his limitations. It just seemed ill-timed considering what Tua pulled off in the championship game and the upward climb that Jalen Hurts has, for him to be critical of the coaching staff. You would think that he would have had the mentality out of the gate. And of course, this was a comment that he made that was blown all over the national media in regards to criticism over the way the quarterback situation was handled. You would think he would tend to keep that under wraps and want to prove himself on the field before he comes out and makes such statements.
And it's not the fact that I disagree with what he said. I disagree with the timing that it came out in. And when you look at it, I understand Jalen was upset about Nick Saban going to SEC Media Days. I believe it was Dennis Dodd of CBS Sports that threw the question out about, well, Coach Saban, it's 47 odd days into the season. Do you think Jalen Hurts will even be on the roster? And Nick Saban's like, well, I don't know. I expect him to be. I hope he is. I don't know. And of course, Jalen in that situation probably could have just went back to Coach Saban and said, Coach, I saw what you said at Media Days. I just want to reiterate that I'm going to be here. I'm not leaving anywhere. I have 15 credit hours to go before I graduate between December and January. I'm staying with the program. And though a lot of times Nick Saban does not allow his players and or coaches to talk to the media, these guys have social media accounts. So if Jalen Hurts felt like, hey, I'm hearing a lot of things about me transferring that I'm not saying, Jalen Hurts could have probably more so went on Twitter himself and said, hey, to all the transfer rumors, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here. I'm at Alabama, and just left it at that. I mean, there were a variety of different avenues that Jalen Hurts could have taken. to really make the point of I'm not leaving. I'm staying at Alabama. I'm getting my degree, and I'm going to help out any way that I can. Though I did not disagree with what he said, the timing of what he said it in, and the channel or the avenue to which he took it in could have been used a lot better. He could have said something on his Twitter account. He could have said something on social media, versus kind of going out in front of the public and airing that out there. Or he could have just went to Nick Saban and said, Coach Nick, once again, if you didn't hear me clearly, I want to just clarify, I'm not leaving the program. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here. And that could have been the end of that. But the timing of which this statement came out in, just very poor timing.
Stephen M. Smith, touchdown Alabama, breaking down the Tide as only he can. The Tide with their first fall scrimmage on Saturday, and we've got Stephen here to break it down for us. A couple positional questions on the live chat I'll get to, but since we're on the topic of quarterback, another question that comes in that seems rather apparent to me, that if this quarterback competition goes in the way that most believed it would, and now with the first indication and scrimmages get thrown way overboard in regards to, especially if the media is allowed to attend and report, they get blown out of proportion, but it is an indication of the way things are going, and Tua's got the edge right now, at least an edge. Savage Dogs asking, will Jalen Hurts transfer after he graduates in December? Would we expect him to make that move? I would, if he's not playing for a full season and pulled out of a championship game prior to that, and Tua's the guy.
I would, and for more than that reason, I would if he's really bent on trying to make it to the next level, that being the National Football League as a quarterback. If you're trying to make it to the next level as a QB, I definitely would see. I definitely believe Jalen Hurts transfers after this season, especially with Alabama seems to be locked in on not just Tua Tagovailoa, but also Mac Jones. I mean, here's a young man that, folks, peep this. People talk about the battle is Tua and Jalen. Nobody cares about the little appetizer known as Mac Jones. You better thoroughly appreciate this appetizer, because it's looking pretty darn good right now. Mac Jones is out there on the field playing the position of quarterback the way it should be played. Fun, passionate, carefree, not a care in the world. And he's having fun out there. I remember the open practice prior to Alabama's first scrimmage. I'm watching Mac Jones go 12 of 12, hitting back shoulder fades, post patterns, crossing routes. And after every time, Mark, he's getting up, jumping up and down, dancing on the field, dapping up teammates. Like, he is having the time of his life on the field. And the reason why nobody considers him in this quarterback race. I remember the 2017 A-Day game. Somebody thought this man was a walk-on quarterback, and he was the second guy on scholarship that was recruited with Tua Tagovailoa. People don't realize in 2016, Mac Jones' senior year at the Bowles High School in Jacksonville, Florida, private high school, he took that group to a Class 4A state championship. Mac Jones can play football. So more than just transfer reasons as far as Jalen wanting that attention in college football, but also if he wants to be a National Football League quarterback and a true quarterback working on that skill set, just due to Alabama, it just seems like it's sold on Tua. And with Mac Jones really, really surging, Mac Jones is throwing his name out there in the mix.
We'll throw out the name Stephen M. Smith. Alabama football talk right here at Mark Rogers TV. And you can join him on Touchdown Alabama, of course, as well. Jarek Hall is interested in a number of positions. Jarek Hall on the live chat here. One would be running back, where Damian Harris listed on most of the off-season publications as one of the top 5 or 10 running backs in the nation, one of the top 25 to 50 football players, regardless of position. So the position in regards to number one back locked down, but you need 2 or 3 guys. And with Alabama, there's typically 4 or 5. So where do we stand on the running game?
All the running backs at the scrimmage did about what I expected them to do. They all bring something different to the table. Damian Harris is the veteran. He's the workhorse going into his senior year. A guy that really likes the college lifestyle, really enjoys Alabama, has a chance to chase history, to be the first back ever at Alabama to have 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Last year, he hit 1,000 yards dead on the nose, 11 touchdowns, averaged almost 8 yards a carry, 7.1 yards a carry. Then you have Najee Harris, who, with each passing second mark, this guy looks like Derrick Henry out there. He's gotten bigger, a lot more physically imposing. Down the stretch last year, you really saw him come on strong, and Nick Saban has been impressed with his growth and development. The number 3 guy, Josh Jacobs, is finally healthy. And here is the Swiss Army knife of the group. Can run the ball in between the tackles, has speed in open space, can catch the ball out the backfield, is an exceptional pass blocker. I mean, this is a guy that can do a little bit of everything. If he is able to just stay healthy, he is a special player. And a guy that we all remember in 2016 was the late recruiting gem for the Crimson Tide. So there's Josh Jacobs. And last but not least, Brian Robinson, to me, if he was on any other roster, he's a starting running back. I've talked to a lot of people inside the program. I've talked with Brian Robinson's personal trainer. And what's interesting about him, he's a mixture of Bo Scarborough and Glenn Coffey. Talk about that. Glenn Coffey, the first Alabama running back under Saban to go for over 1,000 yards in 2008, and people forget about him. Glenn Coffey had a cutting ability that was out of this world. Little fun fact about Glenn Coffey, he is back at Alabama as the assistant running backs coach. So here's a guy that started the trend and now is back with the trend, coaching that very same position. Brian Robinson, Tuscaloosa native, he's just hungry, Mark. He is patient, but he knows the moment Nick Saban turns him loose and he has a chance, the world will be turned on its head. Because what I'm hearing about this kid, workhorse, he is a dog. He looks to run people over. He is an angry, angry man. Angry, angry running back. So Damian Harris, the veteran, Najee Harris, the guy everybody expects to be the next breakout star. Josh Jacobs is the Swiss Army knife when he's healthy. And Brian Robinson, he's just itching. Coach, put me in here. He's just itching to get out there.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, coming your way each and every day with college football talk. We've got Stephen M. Smith on the line from Touchdown Alabama. Join him right there as they break down the Tide. They also have a YouTube channel as well where Stephen does regular reports as only he can. At 5 o'clock Eastern time, in just about a half hour, we are talking up the West Virginia Mountaineers, the chic under-the-radar selection for many in the Big 12 this year. We remind you that we've got schedule rankings. We are almost done. I've been ripping them off like a madman. We are up to number 4, was just released. The 4th most difficult schedule in college football. Will knock out the last 3. And then beginning tomorrow on Monday, I've got a 16-day sprint to the finish line to knock out previews, Stephen, for all the teams in the Power 5 and predictions on all the standings within the Power 5, of course, championships and the college football playoff as well. So catch that in addition to all our team reports. I was just looking just over the last couple of days and going into next week, what's upcoming: Miami, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Oklahoma, Texas, West Virginia, Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Florida, and probably several that I missed. All right, Stephen, we've got more questions coming in. The nose tackle position and also Quinnen Williams in particular.
I think Quinnen Williams starts at nose tackle, replacing Deron Payne. Nick Saban, with a glowing review of the redshirt sophomore out of Birmingham, Alabama, Winona High School when he came in 2016. Quinnen at 6'4", 289 pounds. I remember before Jonathan Allen pursued the 2017 NFL draft, he told the media Quinnen Williams will be the next freak of nature breakout athlete. Watch it happen. And Jonathan Allen is no fortune teller, but I believe he called this one accurately, because Quinnen at the open practice, I mean, he's always been known as kind of a finesse lineman, but just pure power. at the open practice. I watched this man almost knock defensive line coach Craig Kuligowski down in a couple of those bag drills, almost knocked the man over. And the guy showing the hand strike, the footwork, very, very powerful presence on that front line. And Nick Saban mentioned he's one of the guys that Coach Saban has been very proud of in terms of what he was when he came in, how he's developed physically, mentally, emotionally, how he's developed himself in the weight room, but most importantly, just the full on effort. Quentin Williams gives full on effort. I remember last year, I believe he had 20 tackles. He was fourth on the team in tackles for loss, 6.5. He gets into that backfield. He had 2 sacks last season. And one thing that Nick Saban wants to see more of is his interior guys collapse the pocket from the inside. And I think with Williams' quickness, with his power, with his hands, he's going to be able to collapse the pocket. Deron Payne was more so of your run stopper, but I believe Quentin Williams can do both. He can affect the quarterback and he can stop the run from the inside. Alabama has a lot of depth at that defensive tackle spot, but I think Williams from Birmingham, Winona High School, former 4-star, Quentin Williams starts at that spot.
They are the national champions with an improbable comeback against Georgia in a rematch of sorts of an SEC champion against, of course, the second place team in the SEC Western Division, even though they didn't face off in the regular season in all SEC final. So Alabama wins again with 6 national titles under one. Is that Nick Saban's 6th overall, 5, of course, at Alabama. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the live chat. You guys are doing a fantastic job of the engagement. You know what the goal is. We are blowing up college football here at Mark Rogers TV, and we need you to help us blow up the channel. So you grab one of the Amazon links in the description section. Use that for your online shopping at Amazon. You don't have to buy the product. You buy whatever you want. Just go in through those links. And also, we've got a mailing list that's starting. We're in double digits. We'll get to triple digits very soon, I believe. And starting week 1, you get my take on the weekend's college football. You get stats and trends that you're not going to find collected in one place anywhere else. You get a channel update as well. That's going to be delivered every Monday, courtesy Mark Rogers TV. And just leave us your mailing address, your email address at markrogerstv@gmail. markrogerstv@gmail. So it's a fair trade. You get my email address, I get yours. So I'm not going to do anything that I shouldn't do with it. And you provide that, and you'll just get the one mailing a week. All right. We got team reports all over the place added here with Alabama, and we've got West Virginia coming up live at 5 o'clock. All right, Stephen, what was the nature of the scrimmage in regards to how much did it take on the look of a regular game? What's the typical Nick Saban approach there? Anything unique?
Well, it's definitely a game-like approach. There are referees on the field. There's situational football. He'll have some third down things, some red zone things, 2-minute drill type stuff. So with Nick, it's more so situational football. And as quickly as you get the plays in, how fast can you process? How fast can you go to work on that? So that's Nick Saban's MO, is quick to process, quick on the field, quick to get through your decisions. And for the most part, the first team offense, the first team defense handled its business. For some of the younger guys, it's still something to adjust to, but a lot of those guys are getting the hang of it. Another guy that I came away impressed with was punter Skylar DeLong. I know it's going to be tough to replace a legend in J.K. Scott and what he was, but from people I've talked to, DeLong was flipping the ball. Had about 5-6 punts that dropped inside the 20, kind of squeezing the return guys. At the field goal position, there are 2 guys battling for that right now. You got a redshirt freshman and Joseph Belovas from Mandeville, Louisiana, and Austin Jones, the graduate transfer from Temple that Jeff Banks helped bring in. So you got Austin Jones, the graduate transfer, and Joseph Belovas, the redshirt freshman, both battling for that kicking spot. Of course, Alabama fans are holding their breath that Will Reichard for 2019, man, from Hoover, comes in, signs that letter of intent to kick for the Crimson Tide. But as always, for the Tide fan, it's you can make the pretty trick shot kicks on Twitter, but can you please just do that here in a Crimson Tide jersey? That would be very much more so appreciated. So Alabama fans, tired of being teased with the trick shot kicks on social media, please save that for once you enter Bryant Denny and the 100,000 fans in attendance can watch that.
I took in Hard Knocks, Cleveland Browns HBO last night, the first edition, and of course Jarvis Landry, now a member of the Browns, making those crazy catches behind his back and kind of back over here with one hand. And we're not talking about soft tosses. We're talking about 30-yard throws like his former LSU buddy, Odell Beckham Jr. Now, these guys take it to the field. Some guys can do that with nobody around them, no helmets on, nothing like that. And then you get them on the field, and you just want to be able to catch the ball that's coming right at the chest between the numbers, similar to the kicking game. You know, when we get you on the field, a traditional style, just you don't have to do anything fancy. Just nail them straight.
But the one area of special teams, Mark, that I think a lot of people are going to be happy with at Alabama, the return game. Alabama finally has got that natural return man. I remember the days of Javier Arenas, and of course, a couple of years back with Eddie Jackson returning kicks and returning punts. Cyrus Jones and Christian Jones both had great moments in their career, but special teams coach Jeff Banks went down to Bel Air, Texas for the 2018 class and signed a young man by the name of Jalen Waddle. I understand he's a smaller guy, 177 pounds, but I don't care about his size. This is why Scott Cochran is on staff. He's going to put the weight on the kid. My thing is, how does he look with the ball in his hands? It's a natural field. Can he look up, field the kick, field the punt, recognize where he is in relation to the ball and the defense, and use his vision and get downfield? All of these are a resounding yes. He has a natural feel for returning kicks, returning punts, understanding where he is in relation to the ball, judging the bounce of the ball, where the defense is, where's the wedge going to be set up, all the cutback lanes. Jalen Waddle is a special teams return man prodigy. I am really excited to see what this kid's going to do on the field, because I feel like after watching him, he may bust a couple of kicks back or a couple of punts back to start the season, and then punters are going to really fear kicking that ball in his direction. This guy is a natural talent with the ball in his hands.
Please support the channel. One of the ways you can do that is, of course, like, comment, and subscribe. Even if you're not agreeing with my particular opinion, analysis, or perspective on a particular subject, that's what it's all about. We encourage the discussion and the debate. The analysis is better here than anywhere else online. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We bring on the best bloggers, broadcasters, and writers in the nation covering the game that we love. Support the channel by shopping at Amazon, as a ton of people do. If you don't shop on Amazon, I'm not encouraging you to do so, but if you already shop on Amazon, you just grab one of the links in any of the video description sections, any of the links. You don't have to buy those products. Don't buy those products. They're college football related, but go buy whatever you want. And that helps out the channel, as well as get on the mailing list. Just send your email address to markrogerstv@gmail.com, and we will send you exclusive perspective on college football each and every Monday. Stephen, recruiting, obviously this is typically a lull for most programs across the country in terms of news, because the focus is on the next season. But there's a few news and notes out there.
There are, and number one for Alabama, the 2018 class that overall was a disappointment in terms of Nick Saban standards, Alabama fan standards, as it finished sixth in the nation, has been improved since signing day. Remembering the quarterback Lane Hatcher, Alabama brought in from Arkansas. Well, now it's brought in a defensive lineman, brought in Tavita Masika, the defensive lineman from College of San Mateo in California. And with the likes of Hatcher and Masika, it's now brought in a linebacker in LKO, of which the Tide flipped from the Washington Huskies during last week. And KO finally got to Tuscaloosa on Saturday, was a part of the first scrimmage, a guy that will play an inside linebacker. He's got a pretty good presence about him at 6'1", about 230 pounds, a guy that will more than likely be at that inside backer spot due to behind Mack Wilson and Dylan Moses, not much experience at all there, not much depth there. So more than likely, KO will serve as an inside backer. Could be an outside guy, but from my perspective, it looks like he'll be more of an inside guy. So that's ALKO out of Washington for 2018. For the 2019 class, that has just picked up its 21st hard commitment, that being offensive lineman Darian Dalcourt out of St. Francis Academy in Baltimore, Maryland, of a 21st overall verbal commitment for the Crimson Tide. The fourth offensive lineman for this class, joining Tanner Bowles, Pierce Quick, and Amari Kite. Alabama still in play for Clay Webb, who's a five-star offensive lineman center prospect, but right now it has Darian Dalcourt. The Tide can sign up to 27 guys for this class, but now I'm hearing it could be 27, it could be 28, it could be 29. What we know, it can sign up to close to 30 people. It can sign up close to 30 people for this class. And right now, with the last 7, 8, 9 spots here, Mark, it's going to really be a choosing game for Nick Saban. There are a couple of 5-stars still left out there, but Alabama wants to get its hands on. I know Georgia is moving up quickly. Kirby Smart ain't slowing down. He's snatching guys up left and right. So with about 7 to 8, 9 more guys left out there for Bauman to sign, Nick Saban trying to get his hands on as many 5-stars as he possibly can. But the latest name for 2019, 4-star offensive lineman Darian Dalcourt from St. Francis Academy in Baltimore. He's 6'3", 290 pounds. And for 2018, picked up Al Cahoe, linebacker from Washington.
I got to tell you, Stephen, regardless of what happens at this with this Ohio State situation in Urban Meyer, whether he stays and he has a bit of a reputation stain that's going to be taken advantage of by other coaches in the recruiting game, or he is ousted, and then there's questions about the leadership at Ohio State and questions about the new coach and them maintaining their status as an elite program, which I don't think is in question long term, but maybe in the interim, then you talk about what's typically one of the top 3 to 4 recruiting classes in the nation maybe opens up and becomes more like a top 15 or 20 class, and a number of guys choose to go in another direction when they would have landed in Columbus.
True, and this is a tough moment for Urban Meyer right now. I mean, in his mind, I know he and his wife Shelley thought they handled the situation with Zach Smith in the best way they could. You heard for Courtney Smith being the victim in the situation. The one thing you cannot do is try to equate this with the Florida situation. These are two completely different instances here. Could Urban have handled the situation at Ohio State a bit better? Maybe. Once again, I wasn't there. This was a story that was broken down by Brett McMurphy, formerly at ESPN. He had the news and notes regarding the situation. The main hope is that Ohio State figures out within this 14-day investigation what it's going to do, how it's going to all play out, because as you mentioned, this is still an elite program with elite talent. J.K. Dobbins coming back at running back. I mean, yes, you lost J.T. Barrett at quarterback, but the backup behind him seems to be pretty good. Ohio State always keeps a pretty solid defense in Columbus. So the main thing is through this 14-day investigation, what needs to be found gets found, or if they're able to salvage anything in Columbus, you hope for not just justice to be served, but justice to be served in the right way. Whereas you find what needs to be found, no stone is left unturned, but at the same time, for Urban Meyer, you hope that, it doesn't get ugly for him where people are really just throwing his character under the bus.
I've taken about 4 hours to cover this topic over the length of 3 live streams.
Well, I know you have, Mark. I know you have.
So I'm not going to address it anymore until there's either a final verdict. Then I will certainly have my say, or if there's substantiated information that comes out that I need to speak to. I've got so many other things spinning my head around to get us set for 2018 that I'm going to leave this alone unless, again, substantiated reports or the final verdict in which, okay, Urban Meyer has kept his job. I will have something to say about that. Or Urban Meyer has been dismissed permanently, and I will have something to say about that. It is interesting to note, as you have probably seen online, Stephen, that Tom Herman, the head coach currently at the University of Texas,
I saw that.
Allegations about him turning in, whether it was the motivation was an axe to grind with Urban Meyer or an axe to grind with Zach Smith. Brett McMurphy denies having contact with Tom Herman.
That's interesting because Tom Herman was the one in 2014 that helped that Ohio State offense with Cardale Jones and Ezekiel Elliott and that team get to the national championship and win in the first ever era of the college football playoff. So it was interesting hearing Tom Herman's name being thrown out there because he was a big factor in Ohio State. But as of right now, Herman, with the recruiting class he's got in Texas, I'm going to say this. The Big 12 is open. I know West Virginia's the popular team with Will Grier, but the Big 12 is open with you're not sure what Kyler Murray can give you at Oklahoma. You lost Baker Mayfield. TCU has lost Kenny Hill. I mean, Texas Tech, you never know what Cliff Kingsbury is going to pull out of his hat. So when I look at the Big 12, I look at Texas with the recruiting class that's brought in. If they can get the quarterback situation between Sam Ehlinger and Shane Buechele, if they can get that solved, I think Texas with Tom Herman, they have a real chance.
I'm right there with you. I will certainly have my predictions released in the next few weeks, but they had a tremendous defense last year. Unfortunately, guys like Deshaun Elliott, Malik Jefferson, and Poona Ford have moved on to the NFL, so they have to replace that. But the recruiting classes have been stellar the last few years, and this last one was 3 or 4 in the nation and the best recruiting of any school in the nation in regards to defensive back talent in particular, and they will need those guys. They've got like 6 elite guys. They will need about half of those guys to step in and be forces on the field for Texas this year right away. All right, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama, breaking things down with the Tide and beyond. Of course, Alabama hit the field for the first time in a little bit of anger as the scrimmage was the very first time they popped pads with the whistles blown and with the referees watching. Stephen, we appreciate the time. Don't know if you have anything else to add, but we're going to let you go otherwise. But certainly you always have room for the last word.
Man, I'm good. Looking forward to the next scrimmage, which will be on next Saturday, the 18th. Will we see improvement from Jalen Hurts enough to keep him within the conversation? We'll see. Any more guys that catch the attention of the coaching staff throughout this week in practice, we'll see. What we do know here, Mark, is college football returns in 2 weeks. We're going to be back. I mean, college football returns in 2 weeks. So everybody's favorite time of year, it's back.
I can't wait till we actually see games on the field, and then we have fresh news, fresh perspective, fresh things to talk about instead of rehashing and projecting. But that's what we do. We do it better than anyone else right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Thanks to contributors like Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama. All right, Stephen, thank you so much. You enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we will see you soon.
No problem, man. Take care.
All right, for everybody else on the live stream, we will let you know that we will have another link going out in just about 10 to 12 minutes. That is West Virginia Football Talk at 5 o'clock Eastern Time right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. The Amazon links are there in the description section. Yes, I'm going to continue to repeat this, but it's going to be typically like an 8-second commercial, so you don't have to suffer through me rambling on. But a quick hit just to let you know that those links are there and that they help out the channel, as does your participation in our mailing list and unique perspective on college football, just more content, exclusive content that is going to begin the Monday after the first weekend of the college football season, where we will take you through our take on the weekend, interesting trends and facts and stats that you won't see anywhere else collected in one place. and a channel update as well. Every Monday, just leave me your email address at markrogerstv@gmail. West Virginia Talks coming up in just a few minutes, and we will see you soon. And we'll remind you that our last three in the schedule rankings, who's left, 70 minus 67. We've got three left. The top three schedules in college football coming out very soon. And then tomorrow, Monday, our previews and predictions for 2018 begin. We will see you soon. Facebook, thanks for watching as well here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.